Hey everyone, welcome. Reverend Elvia here,
Reverend Peter.
and we have some special guests with us today. One is right behind the laptop.
And the other one's right behind us.
Yeah, the one right behind the laptop I think is going to have to move, but it's pretty funny. Part of the reason we're smiling because her little head is peeking up over the top of the laptop as we're saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you.
And she's saying good morning as well, or good evening.
It's our little Gigi girl. So, thank you for joining us here today. We are kicking off the April topic of purpose. And I have to be honest, we're going to more end with this theme, but I kept hearing over the last week as I was starting to think about Peter and I recording this, I was thinking, recovery. Aren't so many of us in recovery? And, wondering if I should throw it out to our board, if we should change the topic and actually make it recovery. And my guidance was no, that it's actually very related to purpose. So we'll be weaving that in here, but just wanted to give a shout out to all of you who are feeling a little bit, I don't know, I just feel like there's this collective sigh, or I don't know how to put it into words. Are you sensing that?
Yeah, I think there's I think it's going back and forth. It's a little bit jittery between a relief and, obviously I think that's tied to the pandemic and all that stuff. But there's also a little bit of burnout there.
Yes.
As we've been going through this. So
Yes.
kind of, you're in that tunnel, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but we're not there yet.
Right. And I think burnout is a lot of what that I'm picking up from a lot of people, a lot of places and spaces. Do you want to just say hello, and then maybe we might need to
Hi
take
everyone,
a pause.
I'm Gigi.
So
Absolutely.
we have this month
4 points that we're going to make about purpose.
So why don't you kick us off, because this one was actually one that you brought forward when we were discussing, preparing.
Yeah, as I was thinking about it, I think people, when they have a purpose, and we could to quantify purpose, life purpose, or, just more practical purpose. But I think people can get really spread out, because if it falls under the umbrella of whatever they think that purpose is, then they can think it's right to spend time, spend effort into that. So clarity is the word that came forward, because if your purpose gets diluted, then it's not as effective, right?
Right, absolutely. And we're talking, I guess it was in preparation, we just didn't realize it,
Yeah.
when we were walking yesterday, about the different layers of intention. And this is something that I have talked about and taught about, but not in a little while. And it's so related to the manifestation process, which of course is so related to purpose. And it's about the layers of intention. And we can have an intention for something to happen. And so many times there is another intention that is unseen, that is perhaps even more foundational, that is influencing what's going on, which can really interrupt and disturb the manifestation process and cause a lot of confusion and lack of clarity when it comes to knowing what your purpose is. Whether it's life purpose, or whether it's knowing the purpose of a particular task or this moment or this day, any of it. And so clarity, I think, as point number one, is so important, and realizing that if you don't have clarity, that there may very well be an underlying intention that isn't seen, that isn't clear.
Yeah, sometimes I think people call it a hidden intention. And an example is that you want to make new friends. Well, there may be an underlying intention that you're afraid you're going to lose your old friends, or you're afraid that it's going to change that relationship. So in trying to meet new friends, it might not be manifesting because of this underlying intention. And to this point, becoming clear, like, what about new friends? Maybe it's a new hobby that you're really looking to pursue as the purpose. Meeting people that like that is something that you'll achieve. But if your intention is to meet new friends, that's not necessarily clear. I hope that was clear.
Mostly. Yeah, I think the point that you're making is just understanding that there are a lot of dynamics in play when we're trying to accomplish anything. And your example of wanting to make new friends, you don't want to piss off the old friends in the process and have that interrupt.
Yeah, like, he's never around. It's like we call him up and he's with those other friends.
Okay.
No, I'm just making it up.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably another example that might help too is, when a parent wants to keep their child safe. They also want their child to be successful and out there in the world. And those two intentions can bump up against each other. And, example coming to mind is when our daughter wanted to go to Japan when she was 14 years old, and she'd been begging, like hardcore begging, for 6 years. Hardcore. So Peter found her, she's 14, and Peter found this school that she could attend and a family she could live with, and on and on and on. And there was very much this bumping up of these intentions of keeping her safe and being responsible parents, and also setting the stage for her to really fly and be who she's here to be. So just understanding when we're making decisions, and that just an example of parenting is I think that, we can underneath oftentimes have these, I have to do everything I can to protect my child, but that's not always in their best interest, so layers of intention. So having clarity about what's really going on, I think, is point number one.
Absolutely.
What is your purpose? So using the parents, what's your purpose as a parent to, and this is personal, it's everybody's personal decision around this, but is it to keep them safe, or is it to, help them to be exactly who they're here to be and fly, which often involves taking risks.
And it's a graduated thing. I mean, your decision at 8 years old and 14 years old and 18 years old
and 30
those are all going to shift. So again, coming back to this point, clarity, you kind of have to circle back, because it's not set in stone. It's going to change with time, it's going to change with circumstance, etc.
Right. And there are going to be times when safety is the higher priority, and times where really encouraging them to spread their wings and fly is going to be, and take risks is going to be the higher priority. So, yeah. So that brings us, I think, very nicely to point number 2. Oh, come on. We're in the season. We got to do bunny ears, right? Is mission statement. And this is something that our beautiful Reverend Gina pointed out this book, and I wish I could remember the name of the book right now, but I don't. But the essence of the book is all about creating your own personal mission statement. And by having this is so related to purpose, because the premise of the book is that as each person has a personal mission statement, when they go through the transitions of life that are going to happen, like transitioning careers, losing a parent, losing a child, if that's what ends up happening, all these different things in life, if you have a personal mission statement that's clear, and really an expression of the soul, then it helps you stay focused and staple to who you are through all these transitions, so that you don't identify yourself as, somebody who works as a systems analyst and a father, that you are, something that is much deeper and much more soulful than that. And as an example, mine is to live a guided life. Like, that's my mission statement. End of story. And I don't know if you have one that comes to mind for you.
I'm here to be love.
He's here to be love, and you've been saying that for years.
Yeah. It's been amplified since meeting human design, because that's my cross. But, and then you can start to build on that. But I think with the mission statement, and you may all know what yours is. Maybe you haven't. Some of you have voiced it and some of you haven't. But start simple. Like, there's got to be a core thing, like we just expressed. And you can then build on that. Like, so how can I be love? And I can build on that. But you really have to start simple. If you start complicated, you're missing point one, which is clarity.
Right. Good one. And I think it serves as a litmus test too, so that if you find, as we find ourselves off balance, like if you're, I don't know, having a fight with the referee on the soccer field,
Always back to that.
bringing yourselves, and I mean for me too, it's like if I find myself off balance and acting from the mind, I'm here to live a guided life. Like, it brings you back to center. Am I the expression of love?
Exactly. And the other thing I found about simple is that it's easy to make that call. Mm-hmm. If it's complicated, then it gets more complicated and involves this more. Whereas ultimately, when you stay simple, it's easy to say yes or no. Like, right. Is my act yelling at someone on the soccer field love? No, it's clear cut. But if you get all these other things into that statement, it's harder to make that snap decision.
Yeah, and when I first, because this is actually within the last couple months that I really got clear on, I'm here to live a guided life. And I wanted to make it more complicated. I wanted to make it more, I'm here to live a guided life so that I can teach others to do blah, 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 blah. And all of that is true, but it was complicating the core, the essence of it. Because many good things flow from that mission statement as I live it, but it was diluting the impact for me personally. So, it was that, and that was an aha moment for me. It was like, I'm just here to live a guided life, period. End of story.
And that doesn't mean you shouldn't contemplate those other things.
Right.
Because you can, in the moment, you can look at those other things, but really being clear with yourself on what that rock is for you, then simplifies things when things get complicated. Mm.
So I think a little reference to her mission statement brings us nicely into point number 3, because I think her mission statement is to sleep all the time. Although then she can't eat, so I think it's to expend as little energy as possible.
Well, and that supports the point, because
we haven't said the point yet.
Point number 3 is cycles.
Yeah.
And she definitely very clearly has these cycles where she sleeps a lot, like 23 and a half hours for a day, and she doesn't eat. And then she has days where she'll get up and she wants 5 breakfasts. And she is pretty extreme with this. We're talking about Rosie girl back here. I'm not talking about her.
Thank you.
No, Rosie the cat. She just has these extreme cycles, and for most of us, it's probably not that extreme, but we do have these cycles, and I know you, Elvia, have, because of your Hashimoto's, have other cycles that you have to use your guidance.
Yeah, and it can be, especially, to reference for Peter's benefit, human design, I'm a 4-motor generator, so there's and my parents were both very, I grew up in a family that was very much about doing and getting things done. Like that, my mother worshipped getting things done and being busy. And I'm sure she wasn't alone with this, but there's this script that is ever present that is, I have to keep in check, because if I'm having a day where I just need to rest, there can be stuff that happens up here. And I think the point of number 3 is recognizing that we all have these cycles. We have them. I was thinking about the days of the week, about how they're all like this cycle. And, it almost makes me sad that stores started to open on Sundays, because it sort of interrupted this cycle, this collective cycle of resting on Sundays, at least in the United States. Mm-hmm. But, we all have there's the collective cycles, and then there's the personal cycles, and they all have purpose, not just the doing ones, but the being ones. And I think we, as a society, tend to undervalue the downtime.
Absolutely. And in human design, there's the root center, which is all about getting things going. Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's a lesson here that the root can teach us about cycles. And that's the root's a pulse motor, and it's on and then it's off. And a lot of us, because of what Elvia was just saying, like doing, accomplishing, when our root is off, we're still feel pushed to accomplish. Mm-hmm. And the root, actually, if you allow it to rest, will come on and provide more energy, where, as opposed to if you're just like trying to push it while it's off. And so with purpose, with cycles, if we respect those off or the not doing so much cycles, then we're going to accomplish more when we are doing or are pushing at the appropriate time.
Yeah. Very well said. And there's a cost too for pushing. Not only do we get less done ultimately, but I think there can be a health cost. I would not be at all surprised if, the Hashimoto's and the hypothyroid trace back to pushing through when I really needed to rest before my greater awareness happened in my late 30s. But and growing up in a family of, doing and being busy is worshipped, when the need to rest was never really a priority in my family of origin. So, and it's still not with my brothers, actually. This is all about understanding your personal needs, your own personal cycles, and honoring those, which I think brings us nicely into...
It does.
Point number 4.
And that is recovery.
Recovery, and recovery being part of this bigger thing of living a guided life in the flow, and part of the flow is going to be allowing time for assimilation, for recovery, for integration of life.
A lot of times I think, if you're just sitting there on the couch, or you're daydreaming, or you're again not doing much, that in our society can have negative connotations. Mm-hmm. But there's other stuff going on there. There's restorative stuff going on for the body. But for a lot of us, there's also, even if you're not consciously thinking about it, the wheels are turning on something, mm-hmm. or several things. And again, I could give another example in human design. I'm going to hold off on that. But that's just how a lot of us process, is with that downtime. And again, as Elvia mentioned, integration, that we have an experience out there, and we can't process it all. Sometimes it's like a dramatic experience, like an act, witness an accident or something that's very dramatic, and other times it's just very subtle that maybe someone says something and makes a strange gesture or strange face, or doesn't react to what we said in the way we expected. Well, we don't necessarily process that all in that moment. And it's that in the flow, when we're having a more downtime or relaxed time, quiet time, that stuff gets processed, and we can now have a better concept of, oh, that's why they reacted, or whatever it was.
That was what was going on. Yeah, and I also think, especially for us sensitive ones right now, there are the things that are happening that we're consciously aware of, such as what Peter was talking about. And then there's also so much that's happening energetically on the collective level. And us sensitive ones are picking up on that. I mean, we may not realize it. And even if we isolate from the news and these things, there's vibes in the air that we're picking up on, that in order to integrate in the highest good and to allow that recovery, to the point of what you were saying, from the impact of those, because a lot of them right now are a bit chaotic, and we do what we can to meditate. We do a lot, us sensitive ones, with our prayer and our meditation, and feeding the collective with positive energy and love, of course. And we need time to assimilate and balance the energies.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
It did. And I think, again, in this COVID time, there's all these emotions going on, that people are tired of being, segregated, and people are in joy if they've gotten the vaccine and they feel freer, and so there's, and people are in all different pockets of that, and some people don't want to get the vaccine. So there's all these different collective energies going on out there, and in life, essentially, is not in a steady state on the entire planet. It's different than it was 2 years ago, for almost the whole world. So all those energies are going on. We're not necessarily witness to what's going on, but we're potentially feeling those.
Right.
And so, again, letting those flow, and you may get hit with a wave of anxiety, or a wave of joy and relief. You actually said the other day you suddenly kind of felt a feeling of relief.
Yeah.
And partly maybe because we got the second vaccine, but it partly may be the collective that are sort of in that similar space. Right. So just be good to yourselves in terms of that. And follow your guidance, first and foremost. Always, always, always goes back to following your guidance, whatever that is for you. And just to be clear, when I say guidance, guidance always, for those of you who haven't perhaps worked as closely with me, when I say that, we're talking about guidance that's for the highest good. And that's probably implied, but just wanted to make that clear. So whatever is in your highest good is also, by definition, in the highest good of all. And I feel like, since you said that, I will pull out the stone, the Tenet stone, and Elvia will read it for us.
I trust it's all good. Yeah, baby. Nice. So card for this month is it's a throwback. It's from the Angels, Gods, and Goddesses deck by Tony Carmen Salerno. And they were on my desk, and Peter said they wanted to come downstairs.
They had put themselves on the laptop so that they wouldn't be forgotten.
Imagine, they got there all by themselves. Angel of Vision. That's beautiful. I think, honestly, I feel like this is bringing us back to point number one. You know, when this bird to me at the top feels like purpose, and clarity of vision is such an important part of it. Simplicity is such an important part of it. Understanding the different elemental aspects of purpose, which is the cycles, the flows, the following your guidance, the allowing space for recovery, all of what we've talked about feels like it's represented in this image. And recognizing that purpose, you know, why we incarnate, why we're here, is paramount to everything.
And to me, I'm seeing the sun and the ocean, earth. There's the foundation that we were talking about. It's like that's going to allow you to fly. So you have the foundation of your purpose, the sun and the earth. I mean, what's more foundational for us humans? And it's simple. You can fly.
Love that. Awesome sauce. And of course, I have to say it. It is an angel. You know, it's just angels, gods, and goddesses. So, you know, it didn't have to be an angel, but it is.
Well, and I was thinking that this deck is perfect because I don't know the exact timing, but this was this being Angel Teach's birthday week. And
that's true.
That was one of the, I think, card decks that was used more often in the
earlier
first
days.
Couple of years. So it sort of brought me back. It's like watching Brady Bunch or something.
Alrighty then. It is rabbit hole season, isn't it?
Anyway.
So I think it's time
for the tenets.
And we invite you to either say them along with us or just close your eyes and allow these words to go wherever within you they are needed most. Ready? I open my heart with deep gratitude and intend today to master my spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical energies. I am dedicated to my spiritual practice. I surrender to my soul's purpose through sacred prayer. I own my guidance. I live in partnership with my angels. I serve with a loving heart. I am compassionate in every moment. I trust it's all good. I allow immediate forgiveness. I honor my truth. I listen to the spiritual messages within my physical body. I express myself creatively. I am one with Mother Earth, and so it is. So thank you again for joining us here today. And please be sure to check out Sunday Morning Grace for the month of April. We have a very special surprise in store for all of you next week, where we're going to have some of our seminary students starting to join us one Sunday a month for April, May, and June. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then Reverends Marianne and Jamie will be back in 2 weeks, and closing out the month will be Reverends Carolyn and Dawn.
Big lineup for the month.
Yeah, you know it, baby. All right, everyone. Love you. Be well.
Love you.